Craig Mackinlay, you start off in politics as a member, quite a senior member of UKIP. You were deputy leader for a few years, you were acting leader for a time too in the late 90s. Why was UKIP your first political party of choice?
Well, I was involved with the Conservatives at university, but wasn't particularly political. I then trained as funny enough, my degree was in zoology of all things. Then I became a chartered accountant and then a chartered tax advisor as well. And I think it was my time as a chartered accountant. We had that very strange period when we were in the ERM and I had clients going bankrupt and we had high interest rates. Those two things shouldn't go together when you're in the depths of a recession. And it was then that I think my lights went on and what is happening here? It was the shadowing of the Deutschmark, the ERM experience. You had John Major then discussing the Maastricht Treaty, and my light went on, really. I would probably have been happy staying as a chartered accountant and might have been retired by now on a beach in Thailand. But no, here we are in Parliament. So my light went on and I pursued that very, very vigorously. There were 6 of us in a room, as I've said this many times, in a pub in Covent Garden that put the framework of UKIP together back in probably late 91. So a long time ago.
Just remind us, how old were you when your light went on?
Oh, I would have only been about 25.
Wow. OK. I wasn't a member of UKIP, and lots of people who are watching won't have been members of UKIP. But when I was reading about it, it sounds quite fractious, like there was a period of infighting. Sometimes you were on the winning side, sometimes you were on the losing side. Do you want to just tell us about some of the fractious nature of those internal debates?
It was founded to be something new. I mean, I would say, from my point of view, and many that were gathered at the time, we were Conservatives in exile. We wanted this to be, obviously, primarily on Brexit issues. People weren't really talking about it much those days. The EU was all a bit over there, and it was, butter mountains and wine lakes and a bit of troublesomeness. But when we had the Maastricht Treaty, I think that's when a lot of people changed. When you got some colleagues of today, like Sir Bill Cash and others, the Maastricht Treaty, I think, was the Rubicon that was crossed. But within UKIP, yes, it started off all very pally, all people of the same mind. But I suppose it's the nature of politics. We ended up with fractiousness. We ended up in High Court. It was a mess at times. There were all sorts of arguments going on, people vying for the main chance. Particularly my dear old friend Nigel Farage. I was very friendly with him those days. And by 2005, it was just looking a bit sullied, frankly. We had the first of our MEPs, 2 of them were in court for various frauds, and I thought this was not what it's meant to be. And it was becoming normal to be able to talk about Brexit again within the Conservative Party, so I took the leap back to the Conservative Party a long time ago, 17 years ago. And, it's all turned out well-ish. We had our Brexit referendum, which, of course, was what I wanted out of politics. And you might say my work is done, but I'm not entirely sure it is. We've got the Northern Ireland Protocol that might be being discussed. And also, I've got a new campaign, and that is to get some common sense on our dash to net zero. So I've got a new lease of life.
And we're going to talk to you about that shortly. But I want to... So you decide to leave UKIP and join the Conservative Party in 2005, and you've explained why. I want to know how you felt when, in April 2006, David Cameron, during a radio phone-in, described UKIP members as being fruitcakes, loonies and closet racists, mostly. How do you plead?
Well, I think that was a very ill-founded statement, particularly the racist bit, because I didn't see racism in UKIP. They were getting a few... I think it was where the BNP was subsiding. Some of those people then took the leap from the far right to UKIP, which I think added to the whole mix of why I didn't feel comfortable there anymore. But, generally the hierarchy of UKIP was not a racist institution at all. But I think David Cameron did a lot of Conservative members a disservice, because there were an increasing number of Conservative members having similar concerns by 2006 that I'd held for a very, very long time. So, yeah, I do remember that statement very well. And I know rather comically, I think UKIP at the time created a tie saying, yeah, I'm a fruitcake or whatever. But no, that was ill-advised. And a decade later, he was taken out on the altar of another EU issue. of which we've lost a lot of prime ministers over time. I'd hoped that it had gone, settled, finished, but I think with potential rows emerging over the Northern Ireland Protocol, particularly by some of my One Nation colleagues, we could be having a row all over again.
What are you saying about your One Nation colleagues?
Well, there's a number of factions. We had the vote of no confidence or confidence in the Prime Minister just recently, and rather different from when the Theresa May, I think it was 117, and I was one of them, voted against her. That was a very constitutional issue about not delivering Brexit, not delivering on that 16 referendum. But this time, we've got a number of factions, I think, at play here. You've got some who just don't like Boris. There's a number who just never liked Boris throughout his political career. Then you've got others who are concerned about Brexit. They're still fighting the Brexit war. And dare I say, Tobias Ellwood, I think, let the cat out of the bag last week by saying we should go back into the single market. So there's a faction of those. Then you've got those who have been shuffled out of government, or those who think they're so marvellous they should be in government. And then you've got those which I would be normally quite aligned with, and that would be like your Philip Davies view of the Conservative Party, that we're not really delivering enough Conservative policies. But overlaying all of that, we've got a Brexit battle I think is still continuing, is who do you replace? The Conservative Party is always a very wide and broad church. Always has been. I think of all the political parties, it is the broadest of churches that accommodates people like me, who I put myself down as a right-of-centre libertarian conservative, to those who are, perhaps more One Nation, left-of-centre conservatism, quite a lot of government control and interference. So it accommodates all of us. So that's where we are today. And I think the Partygate, I'm not sure that Partygate actually had much to do with calling that vote last week. It became that sort of culmination of all those that have got these negative feelings. It sort of burst forth, and the 54 threshold to Sir Graham Brady was reached, and we had that vote last week. Of course, nobody's sure what everybody voted, but I voted to support the Prime Minister because, in my view, he's the best on offer, delivered that huge election result that we hadn't seen for a generation. His feelings on Brexit are aligned with mine. But of course, I want to nudge him in the direction of proper Conservative policies. But that's the battle within the Conservative Party that's always taken place. And I'm sure there were similar battles going on in the Labour Party when you were there as well.
Do you honestly think that there is a movement or part of the vote of no confidence in Boris Johnson was motivated in your party by a desire to overturn Brexit?
Soften Brexit, I'm sure. Absolutely soften Brexit. There are some who would like us back in the single market and a closer orbit with the European Union. And I'm sure when we see, once the Northern Ireland Protocol bill actually goes to second reading and beyond through the subsequent stages of it, I think we'll see very clearly who they are. What's
your message to them?
Let's get on with this job. Let's make the best of Brexit opportunities, which I will say we have not really taken advantage of. I think we've got a civil service against a lot of these measures so that we don't diverge and use those freedoms fully. But I would say, please, let's get on with this job. We were elected to get Brexit done. We're elected with a very, very big majority, a handsome majority that we don't see very often. And we have the opportunity to make Britain a better place. But, sadly, I do recognise that the COVID period put lots of things on ice, and we've only got 2 years left before the next election.
What do you say to colleagues who are plotting, as we speak, I'm sure, about when to come back, when to have their next go to get rid of Boris Johnson?
Well, the obviously 1922 rules mean that he should be safe for a year. That's not to say that rules can't be changed, and I think that was being discussed with the Theresa May time. But I would say let's buckle down to some conservatism. We've got local elections, particularly across Kent in my area next year, and a divided party at the centre is never a good look to the electorate. We do need a united party within that broad umbrella that we've always had, and having a few rows behind closed doors, which is where these things should be done.
You were quite rude about the government's decision to impose that temporary windfall tax on energy firms. You said, I am, all in all, I'm disappointed, embarrassed and appalled that a Conservative Chancellor could come up with this tripe.
I stand by those words. I think a windfall tax is appalling because it's a number of indications. It's saying to foreign companies who might want to base here, the type of things that we want and need, you do rather too well and we'll be taxing you additionally. The oil companies, I don't fly a flag for the oil companies at all, but we're asking them to go gangbusters for more gas and oil out of the North Sea, which will require a lot of investment. We're asking them to do a lot on the net zero stuff, to actually push hydrogen and all those other technologies, very costly, will require a lot of investment. We've got pension funds that are reliant on those stream of high quality dividends as one of the ultimate blue chip companies. It just says so much bad about doing business in Britain. And let's be honest, they're already facing a tax of 40%. They face a special tax. To up that to 65%, in my view, is penal and just not what Conservatives should be doing.
Do you expect to get a Christmas card from Rishi Sunak after saying that about him?
Well, it'll be one of those where you sort of lick your finger and see if it's a real signature, I'm sure. But I do tend to get a Christmas card from Rishi. But I do cross swords with him quite regularly on tax policies. As I say, I'm a chartered accountant, chartered tax advisor. I'm still nominally in practice. So I do see what is actually happening out there. I have communication with lots of businesses and in the constituency as well. So, I do make my thoughts very well known. I was against the national insurance rise for similar reasons, because you tax things that are bad. You tax things like alcohol and cigarettes that you're trying to, suppress demand of. You don't try and suppress demand for things that are good, and that's jobs.
Final question. We've talked a lot about politics. I know you lost your mum 5 years ago.
Yeah, just about. Yeah.
And we like to show that politicians are human beings in these interviews too. How was the grieving process for you?
People might say I got over it rather well, actually. I've, we sort of moved away from it. She was ill for a few months, but it was quite rapid at the end. And my father was always older, and he was always the one that was the slightly creaking door. But he's remarkably well, 5 years on, still driving, 88 this year. And he's gone off on a golfing holiday with some of his pals. So, he's still at it, but I think he struggled with it because they've been married for 60 years. My mother was very young when they got married. It probably doesn't happen much these days. She was 18 and 2 months, which I suppose was the thing in the late 50s. But you don't see so much of that today. But she's a very big hole that is lost. And we had our daughter after she died, and she would have just been so delighted with her because she is everyone would say that their daughter is a little gem, but she'd have really loved her. So that is a sadness every time you look at her, because she's got a few traits and looks of my mother, and she would have just been over the moon with her. So that's a great sadness.
Craig Mackinlay, great pleasure. Thank you.